Okay, I'll just give it about 1 more minute for people to join. And as you're joining in, if you could mute yourself just for the very beginning, that would be great. Thank you. Okay, I think we're good to get started. And Maya, you started recording?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Katie Friedman. I know I've spoken to some of you already, but I am the advisor for the Greenest Region Corps program at the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. And I'm just going to start today by going over the agenda for our session. So we'll start out by introducing you to our team and let you know the roles that we play. Then I'll give you a brief overview of the Greenest Region Corps, and then we will get into the Q&A. And if you have any questions as we're going through, feel free to put them in the chat. And our member Ivy will be in charge of answering that. So moving forward, there are kind of a few different parties that you should be aware of with regards to the Greenest Region Corps. So the first is the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. We are a membership organization of 275 municipalities in the Chicago region, and we work with elected officials and municipal leaders on common issues and policy items in the area. So Edith, if you want to quickly introduce yourself and kind of your connection to the program.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Really glad that we're sharing this evening. My name is Edith Macra, and I'm the Director of Environmental Initiatives for the Mayor's Caucus. It was 3 years ago that we started the Greenest Region Corps and put together the Greenest Region Compact a few years ago. So this is the foundation of the program, and it's the core members that make it really exciting and productive. So really glad that you're here, and so grateful for the service of the core members that we currently have in service as well.
Thanks, Edith. And I already introduced myself, but a little background. I actually participated in the pilot year of the Greenest Region Corps program in 2018. I worked in the city of Highland Park, and I'm really grateful to be able to stay on with the program as an advisor to help the program grow and help things run smoothly. As I mentioned, the Mayor's Caucus is the program administrators. We handle payroll and all of the administrative side of our grant with AmeriCorps. And now we have EPA Region 5, which provides program support and technical training to members during their service. So Erin, if you could share a little bit about your role and your connection to the program.
Sure. Hi, my name's Erin Newman. I work for US EPA. I've been there just shy of 20 years, actually. I work in climate and sustainability issues and also air toxics. And together with Edith and Katie and Megan, we sort of developed this program. And so we offer technical training to volunteers and just try to support them as they are wrestling the sustainability goals at the local level.
Thanks, Erin. And Megan?
Hi, I'm Megan Gavin. I am the environmental education coordinator at EPA as well, and I've been there a long time like Erin. And so I help at the beginning of the program of matching and looking at all of your resumes. And then I am peripherally involved with the trainings and just peripherally involved as more of a spectator, seeing if I can lend a hand here and there.
Thanks, Megan. And then, of course, we have our real MVPs, the Greenest Region Corps members themselves. So today we have 7 members of the Corps on the call with us. And I'll just let them quickly introduce themselves and where they're working this year. So we can start with Brittany and then go down the list.
All right. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Brittany Drew, and I am currently stationed at the city of Evanston. Really glad you all could be here tonight.
Thanks, Brittany.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Scott. I'm stationed at the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus.
Thanks, Cheryl.
I'm Daniel Gonzalez, and I'm at the city of Highland Park. Hi everyone, I'm Haley Krim at the Village of Park Forest.
Hi everyone, my name is Ivy Klee. I'm at the Solid Waste Agency of Lake County.
Hi everyone, I'm Julia Linares and I'm stationed at Cook County's Department of Environment and Sustainability.
Hi everyone, I am Maya Dutta and I am with the City of Waukegan right now.
Thank you all, and everyone will have an opportunity to hear from our members later on in the call, but just wanted to quickly introduce them before we get started. So now I want to give a quick introduction to the Greenest Region Compact, which really forms the foundation of the Greenest Region Corps. The Greenest Region Compact is a set of 49 high-level sustainability goals. And the goal of the compact is to align environmental issues, resources, and actions at local, regional, and national levels to help guide municipalities to achieve greater environmental sustainability. In creating the Greenest Region Compact, and Edith is the real expert here, so I invite her to chime in if I miss anything. But I think the key questions in creating the compact were, first, what are municipalities already doing and or planning to do in relation to sustainability? What are common priorities across the region? What actions that municipalities are already doing are replicable and achievable for other municipalities? And what existing programs support these goals? And in finding these answers, Edith inventoried environmental achievements for 290 municipalities and analyzed existing sustainability plans, which included 30 local plans, 9 regional and national plans, and 1,149 specific sustainability goals. And the result of that, after condensing all of these many sustainability goals, were the 49 high-level Greenest Region Compact goals across these 10 categories that you see on the right. I won't spend a lot of time explaining more about the compact, but this is what it looks like. It's just a document that lists the goals. Municipality can pass a resolution to formally adopt the compact, and currently 131 municipalities, 3 counties, and 10 councils of governments have formally adopted the Greenest Region Compact in the Chicago region. And you can see on the map, this spans a very wide area. And I believe we are the largest sustainability collaborative in the country.
That we know. Regional collaborative for municipalities, that is correct, that we are aware of.
Yes. There's also a framework. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time going into it, but the framework is a larger document that dives into each of the goals with examples of objectives and strategies that municipalities can take in achieving their goals. And municipalities often use this framework to develop sustainability plans. So this is just an example of what the framework looks like. I encourage you all to learn more about the Greenest Region Compact at our website. The link is here, and I'll follow up with an email to you all with these links. So that brings us to the Greenest Region Corps. As I mentioned, 131 municipalities have formally adopted the Greenest Region Compact, but as you might be aware, local governments are often overextended. They have issues with just having enough staff time and resources to accomplish their many priorities, let alone sustainability. So the Greenest Region Corps meets this need by pairing talented sustainability professionals with Greenest Region Compact communities to lead sustainability projects and initiatives across the region. And as you can imagine, the projects that members work on are as varied as the communities themselves. I assume many of you are local to the area, but if you aren't, we have members serving as far north as Waukegan on the border of Wisconsin, as far east as Highland Park on the shore of Lake Michigan, and as far inland as Rockford in this upcoming year, which is northwest, kind of in the middle of farmland. So I wanted to draw your attention to these 4 facets of the Greenest Region Corps. The first is local action. So within the Greenest Region Corps, members will work independently on projects unique to their host sites, as I mentioned. So in your day-to-day work, you will be stationed at a specific municipality independently. However, although you will be working individually on unique projects, you're still very much a team with the rest of your Corps members. Members frequently collaborate with other members through our communications, training, and service committees, and on other regional projects throughout the year. And you'll have a chance to hear about some of these projects from members later on. Also, national service. So I think it's really important to think about the Greenest Region Corps as a year of service. When you join the program, you join a network of over 75,000 members across the AmeriCorps volunteers across the country. And members also participate in national days of service during their time. And finally, which is probably the most attractive part of the program to many of you, is opportunities for professional development, networking, and training. So our members receive regular opportunities to attend conferences, technical trainings, and other professional events beyond just the Greenest Region Corps. What do our members do? This is a lovely graphic created by Julia Linares that kind of gives a brief summary of some of the work that we've accomplished just since 2018. So our members have worked on sustainability and climate action plans, greenhouse gas inventories, policy research and recommendations, as well as community outreach and engagement, and of course, much, much more. Some things I wanted to note on this call. The Greenest Region Corps is a full-time commitment, so I know some of you are still in school. It can be very difficult, and actually is quite difficult, to do a 9 to 5, 5-day-a-week job while doing the Greenest Region Corps. We have had members still in school participate in the program before, and they found it quite difficult. So just wanted to be very upfront about that commitment. We expect members to be flexible and service-oriented, and I'll extend that actually to applicants as well. So I think it says it on the application, but we may throw you into interviews with communities that you didn't indicate on your application just because we think you might be a good fit. So just be prepared for that. Since many of you applied, we've actually added 3 more positions with the Region 1 Planning Council in Rockford, the village of Northbrook, and another position at the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus, which will focus on age-friendly communities. As well, we would expect members during their service to just be ready to help in whatever way they're needed. The main focus of your work will be sustainability, but we would expect you to be a team player. So if you have to sit at the front desk and answer phone calls some days, or if you need to pitch in at an event that's not related to sustainability, please do so. We highly value that quality in members. I think many of you are already aware that AmeriCorps volunteers receive a very modest living stipend of $18,000, which will be spread out over your 10 months of service in equal installments and paid out every 2 weeks. This is modest, and we understand that. So you will also have access to SNAP benefits, health insurance, childcare, mental health support, and at the end of your service, you are eligible to receive an education award of about $6,000. Also, unfortunately, we don't currently have relocation funds available, and housing and vehicle assistance is very limited and dependent on the host site. So just wanted to be pretty upfront about that for any members that aren't local to the area. We do, however, have some reimbursement funds available for work-related travel. Also, some timeline and next steps. Some people have contacted me with questions about the application process. So applications are due next Friday. I can't believe that's so soon, on August 7th. We will contact you sometime before the 17th and 19th as we anticipate having our round 1 interviews, which will be a format kind of like this. It'll be a group Zoom call, which will just give us an opportunity to get to know you guys. After the round, and that will just be with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus and EPA. The round 2 interviews will be just with the host site, so they will be individual interviews. After the round 1 interviews, the Mayor's Caucus and EPA will match candidates with host sites that we think are appropriate for them, and the host sites will make the ultimate decisions on who they will interview, and they will make the ultimate decision on who gets a position. And then you can anticipate your orientation and first day to be on October 5th. Erin and Megan, am I missing anything on the timeline and next steps?
So the interviews will be taking place virtually. There's a chance it might be in person, but I think you should be prepared that they would be virtual.
Yeah.
So I'll just add that in the past, what we've done, which we're doing different this year, is we would have one day of interviews where we had all of our host sites come in, and Megan and Edith and Katie and I and other volunteers would be there, and it would be an opportunity for folks to both have their interviews. As Katie mentioned, we often, we may match you with different, we're looking to fill 12 positions. And so we appreciate your preferences, but we may also think you're a good match somewhere else and offer an interview there as well. And so, I just want you to think of this opportunity today as that chance to meet us. So it's a little bit informal. There was a presentation, there's gonna be a Q&A. Feel free to turn your cameras on, feel free to chat with us, like ask your questions. This is really sort of just a get to know you time. And so I just wanted to encourage people to go ahead and do that.
Awesome. So I'll move on. Oh, and you can learn more about the Greenest Region Corps at our website. We've got more information about our program and the impacts that we've had in the past 2 years at mayorscaucus.org/Greenest Region Corps. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GRCorps. And I highly recommend signing up for a newsletter, which you can get to from the website link. It's a fantastic newsletter. Brittany, Ivy, Cheryl, actually all of our communications committee people are on the call. Brittany, Ivy, Cheryl, and Julia are wonderful writers. So now I want to give Brittany and Haley a chance to share a little bit about their experience this past year. So Brittany, if you want to go ahead and start.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Katie. Good evening again, everyone. My name's Brittany Drew. I am currently a GRCorps member stationed at the city of Evanston, and I've been serving there for the past, wow, it's been like 9 months already. Time has flown by. But I have had an amazing experience in this program. I believe that my time here has allowed me to work on many projects in a lot of the different focus areas of the Greenest Region Compact, and has allowed me to grow personally as well as professionally. And so some of the projects that I've gotten to work on vary, within the different areas. One of my larger projects included our Experience Climate Change activity, which was actually an activity that showcases and educates our residents about the local effects of climate change on the Evanston community. It focuses on a couple different areas such as extreme heat, water systems, waste, and air quality. And it was a really great experience getting to run that project from the beginning to the end. So coming up with the content that we wanted to share with our community members, and getting to work with my supervisor and different departments to gather all that information, and then just going through the whole process of getting quotes for the printing of the materials, and leading teaching sessions with teachers at our local middle schools, because that's where we implemented this activity, and getting to actually have some classroom experience teaching this content to our local middle schoolers here. So that was a wonderful experience for me, and I enjoyed it thoroughly because coming into the program, I was really interested in environmental education. So I think that really checked a box for me in getting that experience, and working with people in my community. I'm actually from Evanston, so it's been great to come home and work with, different sectors of my hometown. So that was one project that I got to work on. And another big one was our Sustain Evanston program, which was actually started by Allison Wright, who was a fellow from last year. So I continued that initiative, and what it was really was is a recognition program to recognize businesses in, sorry, my dad just like behind me, but to recognize businesses who are taking steps to become more sustainable. And I got to add 3 different business types. So we started off with retail and restaurants last year, and so I added landscaping regulations as well as a couple other business types. So that was like a really fun process to do, like doing research and reaching out to different communities all over the country to find out like how they're implementing their sustainable business program. So that was really fun for me and definitely a learning and growing experience. And currently we are working in the energy sector. Evanston is in the process of renegotiating some of our larger energy contracts with our utility providers. And so, we are trying to get feedback from our residents about what their priorities are concerning utilities. And particularly we're concerned about utility costs for our residents, as over 40% of households in Evanston are housing cost burden, which means they spend more than 30% of their income on housing costs, and that includes utility costs. So we're in the process of reaching out to different community groups and different stakeholder groups in Evanston, trying to figure out what their concerns are, and especially we are definitely trying to prioritize our vulnerable populations, and making sure that we are giving extra care and attention to those residents who we want to hear from. So those are kind of some of the bigger projects that I've worked on. And, I am in a very supportive environment. All of my colleagues and my supervisors, they're awesome. All the admin at the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus and EPA, everyone's amazing. And I feel really supported through this entire process. And it's just been really great professionally as well. I know that in the presentation, it was mentioned that we do have the opportunity to go to different conferences and take courses. And so I actually took and cut me off if I'm talking too much, but I took a nature writing course at the Morton Arboretum. So that was really awesome. It was me and a bunch of elderly women writing, so it was great. Overall, I have really great things to say about this program, and I really enjoyed my time, and I think I'll stop there for now.
Hey, Brittany, this is Megan. Is there any challenges or anything that you were surprised at about the program that you could share with the new folks?
Definitely challenges. Yeah, I would say for sure. I think just getting into the swing of how things work in local government, and just getting into that, swing of how to communicate with different departments, and making sure that you learn all the protocols, because local government kind of works a little bit different than like corporate or like a nonprofit. So that was, I think, a challenge for me, and it was a really good learning experience on how to navigate that world.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thanks, Brittany. So as Brittany mentioned, she was local and she had the opportunity to work in the community that she grew up in. Our next speaker is an out-of-state member. So Haley, if you want to go ahead and share your experience in Park Forest.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm Haley, and I'm currently stationed in Park Forest, which, if you don't know, it's a small town about 30 miles south of downtown. But I'm not from the Chicago area originally. I grew up in Maryland and I went to school in Maine. So this is really my first experience in the Chicago area. And I've had a really great time getting to know this area. You're kind of thrown right into it, which is, I think, the best way to get to know a place. There's tons of networking opportunities, so don't feel like there's like people who have grown up here have an advantage or anything. You really get to know what's going on fast, which is sort of a challenge and a good thing about the program. And that's true of both this area, but also local government and sustainability and everything you work with. You're really in it from day one, which I really enjoyed. So my favorite project actually that I worked on has to do with that. So Park Forest put out a climate action and resilience plan in 2019 before I got there. And that was actually partially the work of our previous Greenest Region Corps member, excuse me. So it was cool to kind of follow that up through our first check-ins with all of the departments that had things assigned to them in the Climate Action and Resilience Plan. So from about October, well, we started in October, so right from when I got there through December, we were checking in with every single department in the village and getting to know what they did, how it affects our greenhouse gas emissions, how it impacts equity in the village, and where they can improve. And then we sat down with all of those department heads and had one-on-one meetings with them to discuss it, which was a great way to get familiar with all of the people in the village, everything they do, and local government as a whole. So that was a really cool kind of first project that I did. As Brittany mentioned, and as Katie mentioned before, the conferences that we've been able to go to are amazing. We went to an international conference, which was hosted in Chicago in January, I think. It feels like so long ago. But that was a very, very cool experience. And we were actually able to help out there, which gives you a different view into how these types of conferences work and things that you might be going to more in the future. I've also had a really great opportunity to get hands-on experience with tools that are used in the field, like ClearPath for greenhouse gas emissions inventories, Energy Star for benchmarking buildings, Carbon Disclosure Project, all of these things that people talk about but tend to be more on the backside. So I've had a lot of experience with those, which has been really useful. And then also just the hands-on experience and the like firsthand being able to see the interactions between local and regional government and climate change and inequality and individual action, corporate action, and how all of these things kind of play together to make the world that we're living in, and where you can leverage and change and how you can make a difference, which has been the most eye-opening part of this program, I think. And then just last, the biggest challenge associated with the program, I think, would be driving distances. There are 2 locations in the Southland, the South suburbs, and so everything is really far away from us, which is kind of unfortunate. We have some early mornings, but it's a good time to get to know your fellow Corps members in the car, and it's always worth it when you go to another village and see how they're working, or a conference or whatever you're going to. So yeah, I'll answer any questions later.
Thanks, Haley. So, hold on. I'm making my screen a little bigger. Okay. So I think with that we can move on to the Q&A with current members. A handful of members sent me questions ahead of time, so I want to make sure we answer those. But I also want to give members on the call an opportunity to ask questions. So I think what we'll do is I'll start with a question that was submitted beforehand, then we'll take a question from you all, then we'll go back to questions submitted beforehand. We'll just alternate until we go through all the questions. So the first question, how did your previous academic and work experience prepare you for your Greenest Region Corps position? So I'll open that up to the Corps. Julia, if you want to share.
And also, I live on a really busy street, so please ignore the cars. There might be ambulances. I'll try to mute in preparation. So I studied environmental policy and decision making as an undergrad, and I also specialized in pre-law. And my academic experiences allowed me to be accustomed to these different environmental issues that I'd be exploring. So I had some basis in climate change and like waste reduction, and had some technical information, technical skills to like prepare me for my current role. And regarding work experience, I was a research assistant as an undergraduate, and what we were doing is I was essentially emailing out surveys to every single county in the nation, and that also meant calling county officials. And calling county officials, I learned that there is some serious capacity concerns at the local level, and that they have a lot to do in their day-to-day, and they don't really want to be bothered by somebody trying to administer a survey. But that's really where I learned firsthand that there's capacity concerns, and that we need to build capacity, especially concerning sustainability, where those funds may not be existing.
Thanks, Julia. Does anyone else want to share? Haley?
I can share. At least my experience in Park Forest has been not majority, but about half and half self-driven to things that I've been asked to do. And as part of that, I was able to continue something I started in college, which was my undergraduate thesis on distributed generation of renewable energy. I'm really into renewable energy and energy systems and efficiency and all that. So it's been really awesome that they've allowed me space to actually implement some of the programs that I talked about in my thesis, and work on that and see how it works and how it can actually help people in a real setting. So that was awesome. Also, I was an environmental studies undergrad.
Thanks, Haley. Okay, I think we can take a question from you all. So if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, or if you want to catch my attention, you can do the reaction thing over Zoom. There's like a button at the bottom of your screen, and I can call on you. Oh, there's a bunch. Okay, let's see. I think I saw Elaine Simon first.
Hi, I'm Elaine. I guess my question is just a follow-up to what Haley was just saying about how common it is to have like freedom to guide your own sorts of projects versus how much the municipalities kind of give you a structure of what exactly you're going to be doing. And I guess it probably depends on where you are, but just generally curious about that.
Sure. Maya?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it does vary generally, like based on what municipality you're a part of, because like as people have said previously, like some of the municipalities don't have a lot of capacity to be working on these things. So they have an idea of what they want you to get done, but they haven't started on it or like really identified ways to pursue it. So I would say like for me personally, the city of Waukegan said we want our sustainability plan to be written. But that was kind of it. They were like, it's all like up to like what you think is best. Cause like for them, they don't have a background in this field. And so a lot of times like they need you to be doing stuff for them and to be looking into, you know, like how to figure out what to do. But I think it varies because some of the municipalities do have sustainability coordinators part-time or full-time maybe. So with those like service members, it might be a little bit more mentorship. But I think, yeah, it can be like something that you really take charge of.
Okay, thank you.
Why don't we take one more question from you guys before we go back to the because a bunch of you volunteered. I think I saw Nicholas. Yeah, Nicholas, if you want to go ahead.
Hey everybody. Yeah, my name is Nicholas, and I am wondering about kind of what opportunities. I know it's a few months in the future before you'll all be done with the Greenest Region Corps, but kind of where you want to take your environmental careers after this opportunity, or also maybe if you know what past Corps members have gone on to do. Yeah, kind of any insight into that would be great.
I can pipe in quickly just because I was part of the first Corps, so I'm a little connected to what past members have done. So me personally, I worked very briefly as a sustainability consultant after my time in the Greenest Region Corps, and I had actually met her, the consultant, the woman who owned the consulting company while I was a Greenest Region Corps member. I had an opportunity to work closely with her as she was working with my municipality. My real dream was to work for the Mayor's Caucus, so I did eventually transition to working only with the Mayor's Caucus just because I believe in this program. But we've had members do a wide variety of things. We have members who are doing field work as arborists or in, I believe, forest preserves in Indiana. We have members who went on to do also consulting as well at a larger consulting company in Atlanta. We have members that went on to be city planners. I'm trying to think. So a very wide variety of things.
We have one who went on to teaching.
Teaching as well.
Teaching.
Yep, he did.
I'd also like to add in about the potential of going to school after. I know that us as a group, we were all very adamant about who wants to study for the GRE together, talking about our future plans and kind of building a connection that way. And I personally am going to get my master's in public affairs, and I wholeheartedly think that my success getting into grad schools was directly related to AmeriCorps, having that foot in the door, having all these colleges know what AmeriCorps is, and really kind of prioritizing AmeriCorps volunteers as they're going through applicants. And so I think that is something that I very much would like to say about how positive AmeriCorps is outside of your 1 year of service.
Thanks, Daniel. I believe Julia is also looking at law school as well. Yeah. So
can I step in? I just want to say two things to that question, which are maybe slightly off topic, but I just want to say, one, you know, when Edith and I put this program together with Megan and Katie, we were really thinking that this was a program for young professionals to get a good year of experience. Obviously, it's a modest stipend, you know, but this is a way for municipalities to get work done, often on underfunded area municipalities. And it's supposed to be an opportunity for new professionals to get key professional experience. And then I also want to add on to that, because I don't know that we've really talked about it, is obviously we're in a pandemic and you see us all on a Zoom call. And I want to say that everybody went in a remote mode originally in March. Some folks are back in the office. I'd say about a third, about the other 2/3 are still working remotely. I don't know exactly what host site will be doing. Katie has a cute cat, by the way. And
sorry.
And I just want to say, you know, I think we're looking for people who can work remotely if that needs to happen, you know, and people who can work independently. So the people who are back in the office are people who have small offices, you know, 4 people, they can be distant, you know, where Megan and I work, we work downtown in a building with 1,000 other people. We haven't been back to the office. So, you know, I'll say that a lot of people talked about conferences and other things. We've done a lot of virtual training these last 4 to 5 months. We've tried to bring it, versus we were sending people out more, now we're trying to bring speakers to you. So we're still trying to commit to the training opportunities and the networking opportunities, but the reality is I don't 100% know what it will look like, because that's how the world is right now. But we are committed to sort of making it a positive experience. So I just wanted to add that in.
And I wonder if I can just back up and call on Cheryl Scott, who works with me at the Mayor's Caucus, just for a different perspective on, you know, where your career goes. So Cheryl, I sent you a chat if you could just talk.
Yes. So I actually started off in journalism after school and then worked in local government for several years. And my goal was actually, when I got into local government, was to work on sustainability. But as was mentioned, there's not always a lot of funds for full-time sustainability coordinators. So I found out that I wasn't really getting to work on sustainability projects, and I was in more of an administrative role. So I applied to the program as a way to break into sustainability and to get experience in that area in local government. And so it's, as a career changer, I think it's a great program. I felt like I've learned like so much during the past 10 months, and just, you know, so many conferences and low cost training opportunities, and just really kind of like thrown in. And so it's been a great experience for that, if there's any other career changers out there who are in the same situation.
Thanks.
Thanks, Cheryl. I'm going to take the next question that was submitted beforehand, which was, so this is actually related. And I believe this was this Margaret who shared the question? I think it was Margaret. If you want to ask it out loud, I think that feels better than just me reading it.
Oh yeah, hello. I submitted this question. And I asked, how has your time with the GRC shaped the routes you navigated in order to reach your career goals? And I was most curious about people who have a background in laboratories or STEM-related fields, but I don't know if there's any present here.
Maya?
Yeah, so I majored in biology in school, but I was focused on like ecology and evolution stuff. And I did like some policy or like sustainability like stuff while I was in school, but a lot of like my time was spent doing like biology research. And I found that I was like mostly interested kind of in like the application of science, like especially in city planning, which is kind of why I wanted to do this position. And I have to look at the question again. Oh, and so basically like kind of like what I talked about a little bit before, like my position has been primarily self-driven in the sense that like they had one goal for me to do, but I could look into a lot of other projects. So for example, like I was able to kind of look at, I like insects and like pollinators and stuff like that. And so I was able to look into like how the city was like city maps, GIS stuff, and like identify areas for pollinator gardens and like apply for a grant to establish pollinator gardens around the city, and like kind of use my background in ecology and ecology research to like make sure I'm creating like something that's biodiverse and native and like ecologically good for like pollinators, but also something that the city will like, so there's like environmental education, like portions, like a sign and stuff like that. So I think in that way, it really helped me like figure out how you can weave like your science background into something that is more city planning focused. But yeah, because I do love science. So yeah.
Katie, can I also call on you to tell the story of writing your chicken research? I just think that's really illuminating as to how government works. And
yeah,
kind of a transition to Margaret's question.
Yeah. So when I was working at the City of Highland Park, my supervisor, during one of my check-in meetings with me, asked if I could research backyard chicken keeping, because apparently it was a very controversial topic in the City of Highland Park. There were some very passionate chicken advocates who wanted to keep chickens in their backyard as a means of local food production and being closer to their food sources. And then other residents who felt very strongly that chickens had no place in Highland Park. And so I was really excited. I mean, I was excited about the project because I thought it was hilarious that chickens were causing so much drama, but also I just felt like I had a lot of ownership over researching this policy, like these policy topics. So I think I wasn't given a lot of direction, so I went way above and beyond. I called like different state and government agencies. I read academic papers on the nutritional value of eggs and just did a lot of work. And I presented my supervisor with this like 20 or 30 page paper on chickens, making an argument that keeping chickens in residential areas had more benefits than drawbacks. And he waited I had a good relationship with my boss, and he waited about a week before he called me back and said, Katie, great job on the chicken report, very thorough. I'm going to need you to write a 1-page summary. So it was not at all what they were looking for, a 20, 30-page paper on chickens. And I think it was a really good experience. And I was just out of university, just out of undergrad. And so when someone told me to do research, this is what I thought it looked like. And it gave me a good idea of what elected officials care about when you present them research and policy recommendations. So when I did my report, I had started with my data analysis and like all of the different options, and then I ended with my recommendation. But for local elected officials, just start with the recommendation. They didn't want any of the fluff. They didn't need even the explanations about why chicken keeping was beneficial. They just wanted to know that it wasn't dangerous, for public health reasons, wouldn't cause too much nuisance. And the most important thing they cared about was what other communities were doing. So more than any of they actually didn't care about the academic research at all. They cared much more about knowing that other communities like them had tried it and that it didn't cause any issues for them. So that was a really eye-opening and great experience for me. But it also, I think, transitioning from an academic world into a local government world, seeing what it takes to make an impact and make things happen was really inspiring for me. Haley?
I'd also say, as I said, my undergrad was environmental studies, but my concentration was physics and geology. And I've had an awesome time as more of a kind of data spreadsheet focused person, being able to do some of the more technical things. Luckily, or coincidentally, or maybe this is part of a self-directed project, no one ever really kind of told me what to do, but I have been doing a lot of more data-heavy data analysis sort of projects, including a full greenhouse gas emissions inventory and a bunch of reporting and research topics for like international distribution, which is definitely an option in the course. So if you're more of a data person, there are places for you.
Thanks, Haley. I think we'll bring it back to you guys. So if anyone has a question, you can do, I think I saw Cynthia had a question earlier.
I did, but I think someone answered it. It was about COVID-19, I guess, affecting work arrangements, so it was kind of discussed.
Perfect.
Thank you.
No problem. Did anyone else have questions? You can put like Kim Kovichar.
Hi. I just finished a class in basic energy science, so I had a question for Ms. Drew. And the question was that you mentioned working to provide lower income residents with cheaper energy. So I was wondering if you were more focused on the equity or alternative energies, or a little bit of both.
Thanks for that question. I would say we are more focused on equity at this moment. Our office is really, recommitting ourselves to have equity be laced throughout all of our actions and initiatives. And so really the focus of this Evanston's Energy Future is to make sure we're gathering the priorities and getting feedback from residents who may be at higher risk or are you know, feeling more of the burden of utility costs. And so, you know, as a city, we do have a lot of leverage when we do renegotiate these contracts. And so in order to make sure we're pushing for the right things in these conversations, it's important to get feedback, not only from the people that we hear from on a regular basis, but, you know, communities that are probably going to be the most affected by anything that we're doing energy-wise.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Erin, if I can jump in, two things to say. One is that we have a MNC position this year that is going to be dealing with energy and equity somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Then we also have a couple of communities that I consider what we call environmental justice communities, where we really want to help people who've maybe been overburdened by pollution in the past. And so I know Katie mentioned we had 3 new communities on the list. And, you know, if you've already applied to the program, but you see something that's really of interest to you, all you need to do is shoot Katie an email. You know, we will consider all folks for all positions, as we mentioned earlier. So just because you didn't preference something in your original application doesn't mean we wouldn't be happy to consider you for it if it's a good fit.
Yeah, and I'll include some more information about those 3 positions in a follow-up email to you all.
Thanks, Katie.
If I can jump in just a little bit on the energy position and talk a little bit more about the role of the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. At the Mayor's Caucus, we often have the opportunity to lead on issues, particularly energy issues, which are very complicated and sometimes are better done collaboratively, and Corps members are involved in them. So some of the initiatives that we did in the past with the First Corps, we worked on something called Soul Smart, which was a program where we led municipalities through technical assistance to develop codes and policies that were solar friendly to encourage solar development. And so at the Mayor's Caucus, we might initiate an idea like that and then pull in communities and say to them, hey, we have this opportunity to advance solar in your community. We had a lot of GRCorps members participate that way. The one that's bubbling up just on energy is one that Cheryl and I are working on, one that is related to energy management for vulnerable communities and senior residents. So looking at energy affordability and providing outreach related to different times of use pricing programs. So we just got awarded that grant and we'll be working on that. We'll be looking for partners with the GRC communities. And then the other one, Cheryl, if you want to talk about it very briefly, which we're still seeking funding for, but might enroll, is EV Ready. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, so the EV Ready project was, we went around to 17 different areas. We had 17 listening sessions, and we asked for feedback on how municipalities could best be prepared for the increase in electric vehicles that's coming in the future. And so with the feedback that we got, and also by researching best practices in the field, we created an EV readiness checklist for municipalities, which is actually the first of its kind in the nation. And so we created this checklist so that way it's similar to Soul Smart, and that municipalities can just look down on the checklist and check off different items, and that way they'll be prepared for the coming grant funds that will be expected in the future.
Thanks, Cheryl. I did want to acknowledge that we're at 6:56. I think we are able to stay on a little bit longer, but just wanted to respect anyone that has to go. That's totally fine. And feel free to follow up with us via email if you have any more questions. If you have questions for specific members, you can email me and I can connect you with them. But with that, I did want to bring one more question that I had from the chat. I think this was Sarah's question. Yes, Sarah, is this your question?
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what is the most valuable experience or lesson you learned from the Greenest Region Corps? And obviously, I understand it might be hard to identify the most valuable, so just one that you remember.
And Ivy, we haven't heard from you yet. Do you have something you want to take a question there?
Sure. I'm trying to think of the most valuable. Honestly, I would say like there have been 100 lessons and like 100, like the entirety of the program, every single week, every single day, I learned something new that is so valuable and just like elevates and just adds to the depth of my knowledge, my professional experiences, learning how to work with other people, learning how to work on things that I don't know how to do, learning also how to be independent and work on projects independently and with other people, learning how to navigate working online, and also managing like 100 things at once too, which I feel like is the case for a lot of us right now. We're super busy just because, you know, everything is wrapping up with our year, but also things in our offices are really busy. I want to say maybe what I'm most grateful for is just the opportunity to work with all the amazing people that are part of the GRCorps team. And also everyone in my office. At my host site, there's only 5 people that work there. So it's been a really tight-knit experience for me. And I've really loved working with everyone on the GRCorps. I will definitely say that the highlight of my week is when we have our Friday call to check in and to get to see everyone's face. And I think also, you know, I would consider that I'm going to have all the relationships that I currently have with everyone and continue those and, you know, for the future. So I think, yeah, it's the people. For me, even though I love, you know, doing the work that I do, and I will say also, you know, I learned so much. In my specific case, I was placed at a waste management agency, and I didn't really know that much about the waste industry and the recycling industry. You know, the first couple of weeks was just like, I was just soaking everything up. And I've learned so much, and it's so fascinating to me. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be given this new depth of knowledge, I think, and to just kind of be able to say that I've had professional experience, both in like a government office, but also in sustainability, I would say too.
Thanks, Ivy.
I just want to say it sounds like we paid people at this point to be nice to us, and so that really happened. Like that was, thank you, Ivy. That was really sweet. But like, we're not that nice, but we are really nice. So anyway, just that's my closing pitch.
Did anyone else want to answer Sarah's question? Should we take another question? Julia and Cheryl. So Julia, if you want to go first.
Great. I'd also like to emphasize what Erin said. We were not paid. This is definitely how we feel, and it's lovely. I'm very fortunate and appreciative of the whole team here. For me, I think the most important lesson that I learned was to identify gaps. So I really, like, at Cook County where I'm stationed, we have like 3 full-time personnel working on sustainability issues. And we also have a whole other team dedicated to regulatory issues. So I didn't necessarily have like big projects that were solely my responsibility. And for me, in my downtime, it was me trying to evaluate like what was on the website, what were we communicating to our residents, and what could we be doing better. So we have this demolition debris diversion ordinance that is on the books, but there's no community outreach for it. So I developed tutorial videos and web page updates and reference guides so that our residents can better, so they can hit these targets and these goals, and that as we as a county can hit our diversion rates. And also like understanding that I could challenge and then also like challenging myself further with like GIS. So I had experience in QGIS, which is like the free software, but I had never used ARC. And I turned into like the lead for GIS projects at my department. It's kind of funny, we were working with a master's project group, and they quoted Cook County's GIS department, which is just me, but they didn't know that. So I was the one that was working on this new program that I taught myself and like putting all these projects out, which is just fun. You learn that like there's more in you.
And I'd just like to add briefly, just the most valuable experience was, I would say before the program, I'd sometimes read the newspaper and, you know, there are sometimes sad articles about the environment and you feel like you're not doing enough to help. And I think once I joined the program, I just felt so much more positive because of all the work that's going on in the region. And at the Mayor's Caucus, you know, we have many of the projects Edith and I have mentioned, such as the EV readiness checklist. We're working on a regional climate plan because the Mayor's Caucus was chosen by an organization that's under the umbrella of the European Union to create a regional climate plan, and we were one of the 4 regions chosen in the country. And so many of the GRCorps members have also helped to work on that. So working on that, and then I know Edith had also mentioned Soul Smarts and the influence that can have on municipalities and expanding solar in the region. So I just felt like there were so many great things going on in the region and these huge projects, and you know, I was able to work on them at the Mayor's Caucus, but so were a lot of the other GRCorps members. So I think the valuable lesson was just, I just felt like so much more positive about what's happening and the action that's being taken.
I would definitely second Cheryl's, what Cheryl just said. I also felt so much more positive and inspired by what was going on in the suburbs of Chicago. And I never thought anything went on here because I grew up in the suburbs. So that was really cool.
I have to just add on to what Cheryl said, because Cheryl brought with that some of the caution and, you know, the mayors will never go for that. The cities won't go for that. And we have very inspiring mayors. We are the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. And it is just shout out to Maya's influence too. So her mayor is a relative newcomer to sustainability. And he now is openly talking about pollinators, and that's due to Maya's influence in talking it up in her community. So I have to say, just you know, you have the opportunity, a little less so with the shutdown, you know, to directly interact with your mayors and civic leaders. But you know, we have a good bunch in the Chicago region who are willing to step up. We have a very outspoken, inspiring environment committee leader who's a mayor and really makes things happen. Kind of puts the Mayor's Caucus and member communities out front.
Did anyone else have a question to ask? You can put the like thumbs up thing. Okay. I'll go, one more person had submitted a question, so I'll go see their questions quickly. Wait a second. We answered that one. Okay, what impacts has the Greenest Region Corps had in the region so far? And I believe that was Natalie who submitted that question. Did you have anything to add? Sorry, I should have had you ask the question, but did you have anything to add?
No, not really. I just wanted to, I know it's on the website, but it's totally different to hear it in person from the people that were actually there.
Totally.
So what impacts have you seen thus far, if not from the previous year, but from the time that you've been there so far?
Yeah.
You know, I might be able to answer this, which is that I'll say the first year of the Corps, we had 8 volunteers. And there are hundreds of things listed in the compact that people could work on. So that was one thing I think was a takeaway, that you could work up, and a municipality could highlight any of those things to work on, right? So you don't exactly know what type of work you'd be doing. But I think we had a meeting at EPA where we brought folks in and people presented on their projects. And there was a summary presentation where the Corps had done, Katie, you might have to help me with this, over 100 things that were listed. And between the 8 volunteers, they'd done 100 different things, and we're in process of almost another 100. So
280, I think, total. Oh, we had done like, yeah, like I think we had done like around 280 objectives and strategies in the Greenest Region Compact.
Yeah, and so I know that from the municipal side, you know, some of these host sites have long-term sustainability people, some don't, and they're really looking to you to fill that role. And so that's why some positions are a little more prescriptive than others, frankly. But when I saw that number, I was really blown away that in 10 months of service, you know, we'd really gotten through 200 things. Like some were big and some were small, right? So not everything is equal in time and effort, but just the vast number of things that were done at a wide range of communities really sort of blows me away, like in that amount of time, because you bring in someone who has all this time to commit to just sustainability, and I think it allows real change to have happened. And so I think we have a bunch of infographics and things on the website about this many soul smart communities and this many like sustainability plans were written, et cetera. But like that number alone, I think was impressive.
Mm-hmm. And
that was the first year, and we are in process of tallying year 2 right now. So maybe stay tuned for that number.
Yeah. If anyone's interested, I have a few slides on just what we've accomplished. We did a mid-year report this year, so in May. So members were 6.5 months into their service, and we had already addressed 48 out of the 49 high-level goals in the Greenest Region Compact. And I think we had over 100 objectives and strategies addressed. And we broke it down into what percentage of each category in the Greenest Region Compact we had already accomplished. And it really is an impressive number. I guess the last thing I'll say is, as I mentioned, a lot of municipalities and counties and other agencies have low capacity for sustainability projects. And what we realized early on is having one full-time person focusing only on sustainability is huge. Many of us blew through all of our projects in the first few months because prior to us coming on, it was the assistant city manager or some other person who had other priorities working on these projects. So just seeing how quickly we went through it and how much focus we could put, like, I don't think another staff person that had other priorities could have written a 30-page chicken report. And I didn't need to do a 30-page chicken report, but just speaking to the focus and the quality of the work that we're able to do and deliver to these municipalities is really something that they didn't have the capacity for before.
Can I also just add one more thing? Just to speak to what you were saying, Katie. I think also, like, even if you take away the numbers of like all the projects that we've done, all the things that we've completed, I think that everyone in this group can say that they have directly seen the impact that they have made working in their community, which is like something so incredible. I think that that's not something that a lot of people can say that they do it when they go to work. So if that's something that you're looking to do, looking to get out of a job, or you know, whatever you want to do for the next year, I think that everyone has had the opportunity to see their impact directly, and you know what difference they're making in their community, how they're bettering their community, how they're having an impact in their environment. So, which is really wonderful. It's a great opportunity. So.
Thanks, Ivy.
Yeah, and I would just like to add another thing to what Ivy said. Something about local government, that they love talking to each other. And I can't tell you how many times my supervisor would be like, look at what Ivy's doing, now do that for us. Or look at what Brittany's doing, now do it for us. And it probably happened with half the group where my supervisor's like, we need to keep matching what these other governments are doing. And so you can not only see it in your own municipality, but every other municipality is looking at what you're doing, and that's really cool.
Thanks so much, Jan. Yeah, I think that is like the biggest thing, local action leading to regional collaboration, because as more and more municipalities jump on board with sustainability or see that certain things are possible, it spreads across the region. And it's just really inspiring to see the impact.
There's one more aspect of that I'll add, and I'll be brief, and that is just for me working across the region with these member municipalities, to see the progress that the small communities will make. Our first year we had South Barrington, which is less than 7,000 people, get a core member for a year. They didn't come back because that core member blew through all the work, got everything done that they needed to, and they felt pretty complete in that. But Round Lake Beach is another small community with really just not much in terms of capacity. for sustainability moving forward. And then established communities like Park Forest with a really strong program that are just getting that much more done. But yeah, I love seeing the underdog communities really make a difference. The one of them that's new to sustainability is Hazel Crest this year, and we're really happy to have no staff dedicated to sustainability and nothing but potential and a great amount of need. So some real opportunity to make a difference.
Great. So there,
And
if
a
there are
little
no,
bit of where we go from here.
yeah, yep.
I know that I know that Katie went through sort of a schedule, but I guess I just want to maybe sort of reiterate that part so that it's a.
I'll go back to the slides so people.
So what happens from here is that Katie, Megan, Edith, and I are look at everyone's application. We are going to, and we also know our host sites. So you might have been interested in a recycling position, but we might also sort of be looking for, we know which sites need, say, a communicator, or which sites, need a data person. And so we may be looking for skills that you couldn't tell from the job application, just so you know. So we're gonna go back and we will review all the applications, and then what happens is we divide up the candidates and give a list of a certain number of candidates to each host site, and they will conduct sort of the final interview with you. And those will all be conducted over Zoom, probably the first 2 weeks of September. And so it does take us a long time, and so I apologize for that. It is 12 positions, and we're trying to not just balance each host site getting those person, but making sure overall geographically we've made the strongest core for the region. And so I just want you to be aware of that. We're happy to answer questions in the meantime. We might ask you some really mundane questions, like if you have a car, or if you can work from home, or just because each host site is a little different in what they need. And so, just some of those questions, they may be a little mundane, but we're asking because we're thinking of particular host sites and what they need. So, so don't be surprised if you get a random email that just says, and it doesn't mean that you can't work for us, it just means that you might not be a right fit for a certain location. And then we will, be figuring out a couple weeks before October 5th, which is our start date, look at our final core together. And so that's sort of the schedule. And so I just wanted to, I know that you went over this earlier, but I wanted to sort of just reiterate where we are. And I know it's a long process, and so I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Thanks, Erin. So again, I'll follow up with an email probably tomorrow or Thursday, just kind of summary of what we covered, important links, the next 3 host sites that we had added since you guys applied. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to connect you to any of our Greenest Region Corps members here to learn more. But we appreciate you coming on and the chance to hear from you and get to know you a little bit. So have a nice night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.